Good afternoon, everyone, or anyone. We apologize for the late start. We had a technical difficulty. The moon passed in front of the sun. Can you believe that? Right when we're getting ready to go on, I had no idea. I thought it was the end of the world, which I've been expecting any day now. Christopher, how are you doing, my friend?
And I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Victor.
Well, you know what? Thanks so much. The last time we spoke, um, gosh, when was that? That was probably like 3 months ago or something like that. And you were just starting the campaign. You were getting in. You were getting you were feeling optimistic, and but yet still a little concerned because these campaigns are really hard to tell where you're going to be and stuff. But since we last spoke, you've actually had a lot of good news. You've been campaigning and stuff. Tell us a little bit about your adventure since we last spoke.
Thank you. Yeah. So I've been in the middle of a campaign for the state House of Representatives here in Washington. Um, I am I'm hoping to be the second Native American elected to the state legislature, which does feel a little bit weird because there are 29 tribes in Washington and over 300,000 Native Americans, and yet there's only one Native legislator in the entire legislature. So I'm hoping to join Deborah Lekanoff, who is the sole member right now. But yeah, since we last talked, we had a primary, and I was really just overwhelmed by the amount of support our campaign had. We came in first by a double-digit margin, and so we've just really been working on keeping the momentum we have going. And trying to knock on as many doors of the voters in our district as possible. And since then, I've also had had just a lot of tribal support, as well as the endorsement of the Seattle Times and all the mayors in the cities in our district.
All the mayors. That's going to be the name of my next band. All the mayors.
Yeah, collect all.
So how's it been? I mean, you're right. When we spoke last time, you were just going to the primary. It looked good. I mean, you have the bona fides. You know what I mean? The bona fides. Um, but those things are never guaranteed. I mean, were you surprised at your victory?
I guess if I had to sort of predict what would have happened, I would have predicted that we would have done well. Maybe, who knows if I would have been first or second. But just the amount of work that the team put in, and whether it was, knocking on doors or hosting town halls, that kind of stuff, really just a lot of hard work. And also, just being able to count on the support of the tribes. They really came through, and that helped us, put us in a really good spot. Our district is pretty much a swing district. The registrations are pretty close to Democrat, Republican, with a pretty good chunk of independent in the middle. And so, there were some candidates. There was a woman I'm running against now, who in the primary, she was there. She's been off to my left on the far left side. And then there was a moderate Republican who everyone thought would probably do really well. And then there were two very far right candidates who sort of jumped in at the last minute. And politics is totally unpredictable, but somehow the two Republican right wingers were able to siphon off enough votes from the moderate Republican that none of them made it through the primary. And so in a swing district, it's Democrat on Democrat now.
So, who is being seen more in Washington State, Bigfoot or a moderate Republican? Who have you seen more of? Because
Oh,
I haven't seen them in a while, so I'm asking. I'm serious.
right. Our state, just like you said, our state has really, become very, very much a hotbed for far right candidates. And, we have a reputation as being pretty, I'd say progressive, but, nothing is really ever secure. You just really don't know. So I think, in terms of trying to protect a woman's right to, abortion health care, that's something that, you know, I think if you had asked us like a few months ago, we'd say we take that for granted, but in reality, no. Every seat in the legislature does matter.
So, I think one of the most important things, and the thing I think a lot of people forget about politics is that it's not about you and your ego, but it's about the people you represent. What are the people saying on the campaign trail? What are their concerns?
Right, you're absolutely right about that. The job is to represent the people in the district, the communities and the families. So the biggest concern we've had is really probably not surprising to most of your listeners. It's public safety. People want to feel safe, and they feel that there's more crime, a lot more property theft going on, and there's just a rise in substance abuse that's not getting treated. So those probably aren't surprising in the sense that the gap between the wealthy and the poor has grown, and a lot of those things sort of track poverty. So our big challenge is what can we do to to provide more well-being, healthcare, substance abuse treatment for people. How can we provide more affordable housing? And then yes, also at the same time, what can we do to increase accountability and good policing in our communities?
Yeah, sorry, I'm moving my camera around a little bit because I can look at you and not at my notes and stuff like that. That seems to be an issue that I read across the country is basically just want the basic fundamentals of life, liberty, and happiness, and security and safety is really number one. I know in California, it's always at the top of the list. So how is the campaign life? I think one of the things for me is that I love politics from the outside and the inside and stuff, but for me, the very act of waking up in the morning to go talk to people and these coffee clutches and stuff like that, I just have so much admiration for your commitment to it. How is that, man? How is being accessible to everyone? When I moved to my home 17 years ago, I was so happy that I had a gate around the house, a fence around the house, so nobody could walk up to my door and knock on it. But this, for you, it's just the opposite. You have to be open and receptive to these ideas and stuff like that. How is that?
It's amazing. I can tell you that getting a chance to visit with people and just hear their concerns is really important. A lot of people, well, pretty much everyone has, they have opinions, and I think it's important that they be able to tell them to someone who's going to listen, and that's what counts. I may not always be able to agree with someone, but I want to be able to listen to them, and I want to learn. I mean, and I spent the morning in a different city in our district, taking a tour of their housing developments and their parks, the new project to beautify a stream running through the city. It's just really something to see what communities are doing to enjoy life, to live, whether it's the American dream or for us the indigenous dream, whatever that is, to have a good life. And so I I am so open to hearing what other people have to say. And yeah, it's strange to sort of lace up your shoes and decide to go knock on someone's door you've never met before, and you're not totally sure what they're going to say. But it's also kind of exciting to get to talk to them. And sometimes it's just really wonderful conversation. Sometimes you just got to sit back and you know take in what they have to say and thank them, and then move on.
How what have you learned? What have you learned listening to your community? I mean, um, I think we walk in with a head full of solutions and answers, and we realize that sometimes we really don't know what we think we know. And I imagine by listening to your community, it's been a real education. What what have you learned, and how can you be of service to your community?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like, the worst thing you can do is wake up and say, I have a great idea. That's usually
Ooh.
how bad things start in the legislature. So yeah, I mean, the best ideas come from, a lot of different folks. And, the key is to be open-minded, not to be prejudiced against ideas just because you don't maybe didn't hear something great in the past, or you don't like the person. Everyone has something to contribute. So being open minded is absolutely critical. And what I've learned is that people who are never going to vote for me, they still love their dogs. They like going to root for the Seahawks or whatnot, and so we still have room to talk. I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably more, just as important, I guess, to get along with our neighbors rather than to emphasize, to dwell on our differences. Take the positive, emphasize what where we get along, and then that certainly helps. It certainly helps running for office, but it really helps, being able to listen and learn.
One of the I think the beautiful things about your career so far is that you have had a career of public service and working for Indian country and supporting tribes in your many different roles as an attorney and as a when you worked in Washington D.C. when you were a young man and stuff like that. So you've had a really nice path to this thing. And, you've really taken and shown some responsibility and a commitment to your community and to your country. And now, you're currently an Auburn City Council member. And how is this preparing you for your campaign?
I'd say that probably the most important thing is it's given me a much closer relationship to the people who live in the city. I for the last 3 years, I've gotten to hear what their concerns are. And I know their stories. So, when I started this campaign for the legislature, I didn't have to start from ground zero and learning about what people want. I already had a great history of being able to hear from people directly for the last 3 years and to understand their concerns about safety, about homelessness, about just having better roads, things like that. And it really has served me well too, though, to work with tribes. You know, our whole economy in our region really does better when tribes do really well. We are right next door. Our city is right next door to the Muckleshoot Indian tribe, and they are just going bonkers with success. They're building a massive new 18-story hotel. The expansion to their casino has been something, but the recovery centers they built, the new smokehouse. They're building a huge new public health care and gymnasium and wellness center. They have amazing senior centers. All this stuff is bringing jobs in. It's not just the native folks, but there people from the cities around get to go work on those projects, and all the people who work at those facilities spend their money outside in the community. So we do better when the tribes do better, and so we're very much, it'd be an understatement to say that we're grateful to the Muckleshoot Indian tribe. They're fantastic.
Yeah, the Native American story, especially in Washington, the culture is so ingrained in the state. I mean, you just have to look at the Seattle Seahawks and look at their beautiful logo and the amount of pride that it gives the state. Everyone I know is just like bonkers for that. Speaking of bonkers,
Yeah.
so it's a state where Native American culture is front and center. I sometimes feel in California the Native Americans are really not first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. You know what I mean? I think because California is so big and so diverse, I think Native Americans are sometimes forgotten about. But when I go to Washington, it seems like the culture is very front and center, and I think this is probably probably good for you. How does it feel being a Native American, but yet a Navajo from Arizona running in Washington? I think that actually would be to your advantage because they can't say, "Oh, well, he's with this tribe or he's with that tribe." How has your reception been with the tribes?
It's been great. You know, the good thing is I've had a relationship with the tribes. You know, doing some work for my firm, of course, but then also serving on the state gambling commission. You know, all of the tribes, every single tribe in the state has a gambling compact with the state, and 21 of the tribes operate class 3 facilities, and a couple operate class 2. So I've been able to have that exposure of working with the tribes here. And so they've been all really, really generous and really, really kind and supportive of the campaign. Um, and I think being Navajo, it is something I'm reminded of every day, whether I like it or not. you know, some are jokes, but we joke a lot. So
I I'm just gonna say you look like a Navajo. Like, who am I? You know what I mean?
So yeah, the Navajos are we're everywhere, so that's a good thing. Much like our many of our brethren and sisters, we're all over the country. So it's just also though it underscores to me, that I'm still a guest on tribal lands here, and there's a certain amount of respect and honor that has to be paid to the people who lived here for 50,000 years.
yeah. So you went to the primary. You actually came in first place. You've been running. You've been going out. Tell us about your endorsements. Tell us about how you're being received. Once you do assume that front runner role, that's a great place to be, but it also puts a target on your back too for the other ones. How's the experience? What kind of endorsements are you getting from the community in general?
Yeah, so I've been, as I mentioned earlier, been endorsed by all the mayors from the cities in our district. There are three big ones: Auburn, Kent, and Covington. So I'm very grateful for the support I have from the elected leaders there, from leaders on city councils. I've gotten the support from many of those, and the King County executive, Dal Constantine, as well as Deborah Lekanoff, the other Native American in the legislature, City Council President Deborah Juarez from Seattle, and a lot of labor organizations, a lot of organizations like the Humane Society, Alliance for Gun Responsibility, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Washington Conservation Voters, which is a very large and powerful environmental organization they're run by a powerful Native woman, Alyssa Macy from Warm Springs. And she has also revitalized Native Vote Washington PAC. So there's a growing political presence up in our state that's indigenous and Native run.
Yeah. So, how can the viewers of Pechanga.net and all the people that support my organization, how can we help you?
I would be really grateful for your continued support. Our website is www.chrisforwa.com, and you can make a donation online there. The actual Washington is all entirely 100% vote by mail state, and ballots are being mailed in 2 days. And the ballot drop boxes will be unlocked, and people can start voting in 3 days. So, we are in the final sprint, and any support we can get online at chrisforwa.com would be incredibly important. That's probably the most important thing. We still have some needs in terms of going to adding a third mailer, adding some more digital content on the local media websites here. And so, and just getting out more volunteers. If any of you are watching in the Seattle area, please, come to our website. You'll find out information on where you can volunteer. We do door knocking pretty much every day, and we do phone banking and text banking on the weekends right now.
It looks like we have a couple comments in here. Let's see that.
Oh, wow.
So this is from Marcella Arvisu. I hope I said that now. She goes, "What would you tell all those people that are so insecure each day with our current government?" I don't exactly know what she means insecure each day with our current government. What do you tell people who are just insecure about life? You know what I mean? I mean, you have an economy, you have a war in the Ukraine, you have this radical stop the steal votes, which are their alternative facts, and so I think Maricella's right. There is a lot of insecurity. What do you tell that people as a leader, because they are looking for their leaders?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to check the facts. Make sure that you're not just buying what you're being told. Do some research, and then vote for candidates that are common sense, that aren't really radical, or that want
Yeah,
to undo the government. I try to reassure people that if we get elected, if you elect me, I will be a voice for common sense. I will be a voice for making your lives better. That is the job that we're trying to do. So we are there to make living conditions better, and that's why you should participate.
yeah. She has another question, but her question is kind of dumb. She goes, in addition about all the homeless, what are natives doing to help there? Why is it our responsibility to take care of the homeless? This just seems like a talking point from California and Prop 27. So I'm going to call this one for what it is. I'm going to say this is a non-native that is trying to, have a voice where she has no voice. So I'm going to, I think what it's in California, and it's supposedly like, we didn't cause a native problem, nor are we going to fix it. So I think that's just kind of a straw man type of thing. But more importantly, Chris, in this world of insecurity, I think it really does take leaders like you. I've known you for over 20 years, and I'm just proud of the fact that you're doing this. And I hope we, as Native Americans, can get behind your campaign. I know in my role of in the Indian Gaming Association, they're talking about supporting you, and I hope there are other organizations that will support you also. Um, but listen, I don't want to take much of your time. I wanted to do a quick little update for our readers. This video is going to be kept up for a while. It's on my Twitter account, it's on my LinkedIn account, and it's on my Facebook for Pechanga.net account. I hope that this, I was actually surprised the last time you said, yeah, it was very helpful. I was like, really?
Yeah,
So,
no, it totally is, Victor. I just can't thank you enough. I would add that certainly homelessness is a very large issue. I walk every day with
yeah,
our dog along a river, and I pass about 50 people, if not more, who are just camping because they're homeless. And so, that solving that is one of the great challenges of our time. And we're, as a city, I know we're struggling, but we're putting money behind permanent supportive housing. We've worked with the county to buy some hotels that we're opening soon. We're working on tiny houses. We're encouraging development downtown that include apartments, which are incredibly affordable studio units with shared facilities. And yeah, at the end of the day, I would like to be able to help our city, help our state, extend the hand of compassion, and to get people. The mission is to connect people with services. So that is definitely something that I want to continue to do. We've been doing that in Auburn, and I would like to continue to do that in the state legislature.
yeah. You know what I mean? It's like the issue is just so overwhelming and getting worse every day that it almost seems like what little effort, I mean, what effort we do put in, it just doesn't seem to be enough.
Right.
With especially with the economy and the housing. I know in California it's just at code red in San Diego and Los Angeles. So it is a very big issue, and I think in your role in the legislature you will have an opportunity, and more importantly, Chris, great answer, man. I think that's the fact that you have in the city council, the fact that you are working at the ground level. I think that's really important, and it shows that you're doing your homework. So Congratulations. Good answer, Chris.
Thanks. Well, again, I just appreciate everything you're doing. You're everywhere all the time. You must have like a clone running around.
Oh, I wish. Well, you know what? As we were talking, I've had Chris Waugh running underneath your name in a ticker tape so people know where to contribute. Again, Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming here and for the viewers. We're going to be doing an interview on Thursday with Ruth Buffalo, who's running for I believe the legislature in South Dakota. So we're going to be talking to her on Thursday. So Chris, I think you started something, and so I'm really looking forward to that. I hope to see you again, and let's talk before, hopefully, if not right after the election, so we can celebrate your victory and we can tell all the Indian country all the wonderful things you're going to be doing. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your kindness.
All right, my brother. Much love. And to all the viewers out there, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again on Thursday. Thanks, brother. Bye.
Bye.